What's up, Coach?
It is race week. One Mike Tarrolly.
Are you ready to rumble?
Well, I'm not. I will be non-rumbling, but hopefully you'll be doing enough rumbling for both of us.
I'm gonna rumble.
I hope you are. Rumble or tumble, one of the two. But welcome. Happy Monday. This is the Crushing Iron Triathlon Podcast, episode 205-ish. We come to you every Monday and Thursday, and this month is our second. We'll make 2 years of bringing this. Well, I'm not going to give us any accolades, but this triathlon podcast.
Yeah. And our mantra is always train in the spirit of joy.
Is it?
I don't know. I just made that up.
Okay, yeah, that was like a ritual moment or something.
We don't have a mantra, but we do try to mix it up and talk a lot about triathlon, but also, other stuff that affects us off the course.
Exactly.
Like right now, it's affecting me.
Yeah, what is affecting you?
I cannot wait for that jump off the pier. I'm just like ready to do it.
Are you antsy? Yeah, this is when everybody gets antsy. All the workouts with any kind of substantial meaning, for the most part, are just totally behind the athlete. And now it's not next week. It's not in a few weeks. It's not in a few months. It's not I signed up for a big race this year. It's this week. This week I will do whatever race it is. That like race wheel. I hooked you up with a race wheel. But that race week feeling of just like antsiness is like, it's very comparable, I feel like, to March Madness. Like once it hits, everything else, it just, nobody cares. Mm-hmm. Work productivity gone. Everything is like always about the race, and it should be. It's a big event for a lot of people, and family too. I think family gets anxious too this time. The closer it gets, they can start feeling things are finally real, and so I think it's an exciting time for everybody. And you got a lot of people racing this weekend, and it's a big weekend for a triathlon. You got Ironman Louisville, you got the Kona Ironman World Championships, and there's just a lot of action.
A lot of action. Yeah, meaningful workouts. I got to say though, yesterday I actually felt like yesterday's was pretty meaningful.
Yeah, well, that's why I said today.
Oh yeah,
it's not.
Yeah, you did.
Yeah, yes. Yeah, yesterday
was the last sort of meaningful workout. I mean, it was. I feel like it kind of put. It put me in a little bit of a I don't want to say hurt, but it was definitely a perfect. When we think of taper, I think the confusion becomes, 2 to 3 weeks out you start tapering, which means you just kind of shut it off. But tapering in the true sense of the word means kind of weaning you down.
Right.
And I felt like yesterday was a perfect wean down, and it gave me, like, I can kind of sense today that it was just like the perfect amount of tension to keep me a little bit sharp. And then this week, I'm looking forward to my 10-minute runs a couple times and, things like that. So, yeah, man, it does kind of take over your brain, I remember a couple times this year I've texted somebody in the middle of the race week and asked how work was going. It's like there's just no. It's really hard especially for people who have. I always say it's always especially for first timers, but even for me, it's like it just kind of weasels its way into your brain and kind of won't let go. That's like the number one challenge I think this week is to just like you're saying, always just sit back with some Netflix and get your head off it,
Exactly. Yep. It's all about listen, it's about minimums. Well, it should be what your whole life is about, but it's about minimizing stress. Mm-hmm. And it's not the time to add stress. It's just kind of the work has been done. You just got to focus on your plan, your execution, and remember to have a good time. Mm-hmm. Because I think that's definitely the most important part, obviously, is to have a good time.
It's got to be, man. I mean, you think about like all the stuff we worry about in general, and if you think about life's kind of silly, man. I mean, it's awesome, but just to get stressed out about like everything that's going on, and little things like, can I cut 10 minutes off my Ironman time, or whatever the case may be. It's all in the big scope of things, and the evolution of humanity and the world and the time we've been around, everything, all that stuff. It's just like, back down. It's like, come on.
Back it down.
Back it down.
Turn the volume down. Back it down.
Just saying, man. I just posted something in the blog that I have been thinking about. I don't know if you had a chance to see it, but
I did, saw it, and read it.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, man.
we don't have to make I thought we'd mention that off the top, because it's kind of really something that's a big deal to me, the whole thing about Louisville. And we talk about Louisville a lot because we're real close to it. It's It's a special race to both of us. It's the first one I've spectated. This will be the third time I'll be on the course, which, i.e., their roads, the public roads in Louisville. And I was just thinking about, you always hear rumors that Louisville, might not renew and might not do this and might not be back. And I have heard that from somebody that it's actually in pretty good shape, and it looks like it's going to be moving on. But I always think about
what good shape and it's going to be moving on.
Well, the Ray, as far as continuing to be in Louisville and stuff like that.
Good.
And you never know, but that's. But I always think about, when we invade these towns, so to speak, with 2,500 athletes and 2 to 3 family members per, and there's a lot of people around, and I think it's important to keep in mind what's going on there. And it's we obviously, as we were mentioning, it's like the only thing on our brains for the last several months, and especially this week. And we kind of go in there with the idea that the whole town stands still and stops just because we're there, and they're going to be checking out our race, and everybody's into Ironman and all that stuff. But I think that for the majority of people, it's probably a little bit of a inconvenience, to say the least. So I just want to keep that in mind, and I kind of made a blog post about a way to, kind of give back. And there's 4 points I was kind of getting at. When one was to, really genuinely thank the local people. When we always talk about thanking volunteers and everything, and I think that's obviously a huge part at the top of our list. But thank people that you just meet. Randomly just say, hey, thanks, I really appreciate you kind of hosting, giving up your town for us to come in and do this, because it really is a privilege for us to go into these other cities and basically take over and close their roads and everything like that, and swarm around and kind of disrupt their typical daily Sunday or their Sundays. And I thought the other thing would be to be genuine with people, and just treat them like normal individuals, not just people that because I always think about with Nashville, when people come out, I love your town, I'm like, yeah, you love the tourism part of everything, but what about my neighborhood and things like that? And just get to know me a little bit, get to know some people, things like that. And just be gracious was my third one. Was kind of like, I always think about this when we go out to dinner with 20 people, and everybody on the table orders water. And you've been in the service industry, so you get it. It's like, here's your free water. You want another one? Here's your, they just keep busting all night and giving free waters. And I always think, it's like, think of those as actual drinks of some kind, and add that to your bill and tip accordingly and things like that. Because I think a lot of times, the service industry are the real talkers around town.
And please, dear God, take care of the people at your restaurants. If they give you good service. Yeah. But I'm sure, because triathletes tend to be already some of the neediest people that you can possibly imagine, but they also, when they're not spending $450 on a helmet they might use twice a year, are also usually incredibly stingy.
Yeah.
That's just the nature of a lot of triathletes are. So take care of them. It's like remember this is how they make a living. And especially if they give you a good, really, really good service, take care of him, thank him, and understand that him coming back to refill your free water 19 times while you're trying to hydrate is probably not going to help him make an extra $1 or $2 on his what is probably like a $2.14 hourly wage before tips.
Right.
So show some love.
Yeah, I think it's great. And The fourth one, and this was just something I thought it would be kind of cool if people did, because everybody, the people make a lot of signs, a lot of great signs, and if you got an extra piece of cardboard or whatever you're using to make signs, just make one more that real simple one that says "Thank you, Louisville" on it. And I thought it'd be really cool if we had a lot of people, at least in our group, kind of start the trend of kind of visually thanking the host city, and because there are usually local news cameras out there or whatever, and I thought that, they might grab onto that and kind of be like, hey, these people actually do care about the town. It's just sort of a visual way to, make it known that we're thinking about them, and we're not just kind of coming in and just racing all over hell and then just leaving our trash behind or wwhatever. So anyway, that was just something I was thinking about as far as, and I think it transfers to every place, Obviously it does, but I made it about Louisville because it's this week and we have 25 athletes racing, and 25 other athletes will be in town spectating from our coaching system, so to speak, and it'll be awesome. But I think it should translate to every race, and don't take these things for granted, because they're always pulling up, and we, I'm not saying this is always going to be the reason or anything like that, but it might help, Keep with some continuity in these races that we all want to keep going back to and love, and play a big part in our life. So anyway, that's something I wanted to get off the table.
Well, I think to your point too, I think it sets you in a kind of a broader sense. I think we even have a podcast, I think, called Racing with Gratitude. But I think it just puts you in a right mindset to begin with. Is to be, because I think, and we touched on this, I think, in the previous podcast, was just how grateful you should be for even making it to the start line.
Mm-hmm.
And because it's just funny sometimes, and we all get wrapped up in this, I think, as athletes, and then as a athlete who's continually competing, like myself, and also coaches athletes, I guess sometimes why I'm like, it's hard for me to get across sometimes, or I'm like, listen, I don't understand why you're not chilling out right now. Do you not remember the past 10 months?
Mm-hmm.
And all the things that they've gone through, and the hard work is behind you. Think of all the things you've had to endure, and the obstacles you've had, and the things you had to work around, and the early mornings, and the late nights, and the tired days where you got up at 3 a.m. and you did your workouts so you could go watch your kids at soccer at 9. To not make your sacrifices something that was directly affected to your family. The hard work's behind you. So just because a lot of people don't make it to the start line. And whether it's because of finances or injury, or they get burnt out, or life circumstances too, a lot of people just don't make it, and so be thankful and be grateful that you're here. As soon as you get into town, I think you and I agree on this a lot, is as soon as you get into town, you're this is it, everything, the travel is done, you're there, you have arrived.
Mm-hmm.
Now it's just time to sit back and enjoy the ride. Remember, I was texting with a few athletes, and I was and here we are. It's
yeah.
you started this journey, and you're oh, it's so far away, I can't imagine ever being ready for something like this. And then you put all this hard work in, all of a sudden you're oh crap, it's this week. But you made it, you're healthy, you're hopefully happy, and sit back and thank your family and thank your friends, and be gracious to yourself, and just put yourself in that mood of man, this is it. This is a great opportunity. Not everybody will have this opportunity, or even can make it through to the start line. And so just be nice and be kind, and generally speaking, it's a very anxious time, and you'll oftentimes see some of the not so happy sides of athletes race weekend, because they're so they're just so wound up, so tight, that I think I mentioned this to you. We were in Chattanooga. There was a guy in the hotel I was with, and I swear his butt cheeks were so clenched he might not poop for a month. He was wound
Not
up
good.
so tight. Yeah, I mean, hopefully, he gets a cup of coffee and takes care of business. But just wound up so tight, like you could just see the tension in his face, and like he was holding his Whole Foods bags like he had just robbed a bank, like undercover, and was trying to go undetected from police. And I tried to strike a conversation with him, and he like wouldn't even like. Nothing was like corresponding, or
Wow,
like,
you reached out, huh?
comprehending. Yeah, and. So it's just like you see, people will get snappy. Everything is everybody's kind of, well, not everybody, but a lot of people are on edge. And so I think it's also you got to be. And I haven't always been like the most talkative or chatty person, ever. But at races, I've started to try to get a little better at it, because a lot of times when you see people like looking around, like they're looking for somebody to like help them take their nerves off. And they're not looking for like a course insight. They don't really care about the watts you're going to push or what nutrition you're going to have at mile 30. They just want to strike up like a friendly conversation. Man, isn't this great? Or man, just go out there and have fun. And remind yourself and remind each other and people, even just strangers. Yeah, man, it's my. As you'll go through athlete check-in, and you'll have all this nervous energy of people signing waivers and people signing for their first time. They've never gone through like this huge, hullabaloo that is like the check-in, and they have all these papers and places to go, and just lend a hand if you've done it before. And remember, it's just like enjoy it, smile, soak it in, because it is one of my favorite venues in all of triathlon.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but don't give unsolicited advice on run form. Just be a friend.
Please don't.
I joked in that blog post about it being, mentally the equivalent of our Super Bowl. We were athletes coming into town, and this is like the Super Bowl for us. It feels like it on some level, and but reality is that the good news is that nobody really cares like how the results come out. I mean, for the most part, people do care, and we all care, and I don't mean it like that, but at least the whole world's not watching, literally. And the best performances, though, on Super Bowl Sunday are the ones that are most relaxed and that aren't clenched, ass cheeks all the time. And I do think that it's I don't know, however we can get to that place where you are relaxed, and somehow it's one of those things where you kind of like, if you're not somewhere, like, I don't know, I get these feelings when I'm driving back home after a long vacation or whatever, and you always start worrying about what the house is like or the neighborhood or what's going on when you're left and stuff like that, and you can't really get into that calm mode until you're actually there. Yeah. And I think that's what happens sort of when you get into Louisville and you get into the hotel and you throw your stuff out on the bed. That's kind of when it's easier to start relaxing. It's like, all right, well, I'm here now. Mm-hmm. I can see that this town is still in shape, and the river hasn't like swallowed the whole city, and it seems kind of normal, and it looks like this is actually going to be a race, because that's the other thing that just seems like it gets proliferated in these groups is all the panic moments. It's like, did you guys see that boulder out on the road on Highway I-47? It's like 3 weeks before the race. Yeah, there's a farmer out there. He dropped a load of logs, and I don't know if they're going to be able to get it cleaned up. It's like, really? That's how it happens, man. So you start like worrying about the unknown, and instead of what's in front of you.
Or just reminding like how much we spend on things that like we just absolutely have zero control over. Like just relax, like just calm down. Like it honestly, it's just like, what else are you gonna do? What between now and race day? Go ahead and list to me all the things you have control over. It's probably gonna be like 4 or 5 deep, versus the what am I worrying about list that's probably on number 98, 99 as we speak. Because now you probably got somebody listening to this podcast who isn't part of the Facebook groups is now going to Google log debris on Ironman Louisville race course, and they're going to be like, well, maybe I need to change tires. Do they make like splinter log proof tires? Because I think I'm going to need some of those. Should I take my mountain bike instead? Because I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to get over or not. It's like, fucking relax. It's going to be what it'll be. Like, just stop. Like, it doesn't do any of you any good. Period. To worry about anything. Like, just worry about yourself. and enjoy it. I'm like, hey, do I have everything that I need to have? Yes. Do I have memorized my race plan and execution? Do I have a really good feel for it? Yes. Do I have everything I need to be successful for myself to execute that plan? Yes. Then that's it. Because everything might change, everything might stay the same. You never know. But the only thing, but that's the thing, is like, it doesn't matter.
Mm-hmm.
As long as you're committed to and feel confident you can control yourself, then your surroundings should not matter. Because most oftentimes what happens in these big races, and like the microcosm of it, is the people who get swept up in like the first 20 miles of the bike, is they're all reactionary.
Oh man, I was just gonna go there. Yeah.
Always reacting to everyone. You're an hour and like 20 minutes into what's probably going to be a 13-hour race. So, just take a minute. It's like the person. It's just, but that's just a small part of it, because so many athletes get concerned with everybody else and what's going to happen that they totally forget. Oh, like, I forgot about myself. I forgot to drink. I forgot to make sure I was, in the right gearing. Because I was so worried about everybody else. It's like, worry about you and your ability to control you and, negotiate or, overcome anything that happens. You'll have a much higher probability of doing that, instead of worrying about, well, I wonder, what if somebody swerves to me, or what if the volunteer holds on to the water bottle, and what if you take care of you, and I promise you the rest will fall into place.
Yeah, because I was just thinking about that yesterday. Again, it's like a common theme in my life with training. Even is that on a basically a 2-hour ride with a little bit of effort here and there, how many times my attitude sort of changed in that 2-hour period? How many times you think, man, I feel amazing, and then 15 seconds later you're like, man, what is that? Am I cramping? Or is my knee sore, or what? And then like 15, 20 seconds later you're like, man, I'm back on it. It's like this weird in and out. It's like I don't know if that's sort of like the world's way of kind of forcing you to be in the moment, because it's like, if you start thinking about something weird on 500 yards into the swim, like, oh my goodness, my shoulder screwed up. This is going to screw up my arrow position. This is going to be like, you know what I mean? If you start getting into that thing, my neck, oh, is that my neck? Did somebody hit my neck or whatever? It's like, you just got to be where you're at in this whole race, in the moment. I mean, that's the hardest thing about it, is just like you're saying, control what you have going for you at that moment and just do the best you can with it. And then it'll change again and again and again and again. And you'll have to keep making these adjustments, usually mentally.
Control your controllables.
Mm-hmm.
Let me talk about, there's another podcast, I think, where, I don't think, it maybe not been the title, but that was the theme of our discussion. But control your controllables. There are going to be, and don't forget, you're one of probably 2,800 people on this course, of varying ages and varying abilities and various goals, varying race plans. And it's funny because I think when you get really, really set into your race plan, then that's when you just don't care about anybody else. But when you're on the verge of I think this is what I'm going to do, you assume everyone has the exact same race plan.
That's true.
So if they're going out fast, you're like, God, this is probably easy. I better pick it up a little bit. Instead of or they're going to the front of the line in the swim. I don't know if I should be in the back or should be but not the day of, or just a few days out. Just concrete your plan. I am committed to this plan of execution, because this list of things are things that I can control, and that's how I really try to. I don't think I don't do a great job of it all the time, but I think most of the time I do a good job of laying it a race strategy and race plan out for athletes that allows them to control the controllables and not feel like they're married to coaches controlled controllables. If that makes sense. Like, I'll give athletes, an effort and guidance, and then at certain parts of the race, you have to. It's it's kind of like your kids graduate, going off to college. You kind of just got to let them go, but because that's the only way, and that's like mile 75 or 80 is like my version of sending my kids off to college. Like, I've got this. I'm like, this is how we're gonna do the swim. It's gonna be uneventful, totally uneventful. It should be the most boring part of your race. Here's how you go through T1 exactly. For the bike, the first 80 miles, it needs to be X, Y, and Z if they're going on effort or heart rate or power. And then after mile 80,
go live, kid.
Go live, kid. It's seriously, it's just like, it sounds simple, but it is. It's like, now it's time, because my point, as a coach, and this is how I coach just like in training too, because when I'll have athletes ask me about, hey, how's your coaching style? I don't know if it'll be a good fit. I'm like, listen, like, if you want me to give you an exact pace to run every single minute of every single day, I'm 100% not your guy. I don't want athletes who can't make decisions for themselves. And a lot of athletes struggle with that. They want coach's blessing for every different deviation of planning sometimes even within a workout. And unless they do athlete sidecars, where I can hop in one of those really cool motorcycle sidecars and ride along on the bike with the athletes, and then I can cycle the whole entire time with them on the run, even though I don't think I'd want to be a part of any of that. You need athletes that are able and confident to make their own decisions during a race and not feel like they need somebody's you don't want them questioning things. And so you have to hopefully teach them that during training is to make these decisions for themselves. So when you get to mile 80, it's like, hey, you can push yourself if you want to, or you can hold back. And then I give them some guidelines, but until mile 80, basically everything I say is to hold them back from not overdoing it. And then after that, it's just listen to yourself, listen to your body, and go from there. And these are the steps I would take. These are the classes that I would take the first semester if I were you. But again, it's your life, and you can major what you want to major in. But I want to see you graduate in 4 years. I don't want to see you drop out after a semester.
Mm-hmm.
And you just got to kind of let them go, and you just got to be concreted in your plan and the patience of it. And I think there's so much more. You'll be able to see it. The athletes who are so confident in their patience and their ability to be patient versus the athletes who are just kind of willy-nilly. I'm just going to go, 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 go. That's not having a plan. And on a race that could take some athletes 15, 16, 17 hours, think of how many decisions you're going to have to make. More than you'll make on your busiest day of work or family life. You're going to have to make those decisions while swimming, biking, and running, feeding yourself, pacing accordingly, weaving in and out of traffic, everything. You name it, and you'll be making some decisions. So be prepared to make decisions for yourself and not others.
I just pictured how fun it would be if you can run with a little Bluetooth, and then you could just always be in their ear the whole day. How you feeling? I got a little tinge in my hammy right now. Well, back it down. It's just play by play.
I don't even know if I would want that. I wouldn't.
I know. It'd be so ridiculous.
It would be, but that's also
should I drink at this aid station?
Exactly. But some would ask it, and that would just annoy the hell out of me. I'm like, just do your own thing, because
that'd be amazing actually to have
because
that on recording.
You want athletes, to again, because it's their race, it's their journey. Coaches are a small part of it, but they're not out there doing the work. And I had an athlete who was like, hey, do you want my road bike to ride around the course at Louisville, to get back? And I said no. there's a time and a place for that, and it's not all the time. Like at least I believe, like you prepare them, and now it's their own, and let them own it. You don't need to be in their ear 24/7. And I'm not going to be waiting at, like, I want to, like, for the run, I want to find a place where I can place myself like 2 or 3 miles out of on the run, where there's very minimal people, and they've already probably gotten, like, they're going to be real up, and I'm about to smash them with the down. Like, I want to be perfectly placed where when they come out, I'm like, all right, chill out.
Mm-hmm.
We got a long way to go. Like, reality check, not, I'm not going to be the guy with the aviators, the red afro, and the Speedo with the sign that says, crush it, you're almost there. I want, I'll probably be rocking a hoodie with my hat on, and this time to relax, and get, because I'm telling you, like, now don't get me wrong, at mile 20, you're going to need some of that big time cheering and adrenaline dump and just anything to get you there. But before that, you really have to retreat within yourself to not overextend everything. You know what I'm saying? And like, that's why, like kind of like how you and I were spread out, I think, like, almost perfectly for Chattanooga. It was like they came out, and I think I posted some of this in the closed group. It was like, relax, take a deep breath, and calm, and then just, like, bring them back into themselves, because it is the hardest thing to do. The first mile of the bike and the first, like, 3 miles of the run, it is really, really hard to not get out of yourself. Not get caught. You're going to see your family and your kids, and you're going to be so damn happy to get off that bike. You're going to feel like, Usain Bolt running the 400. Like, you're just going to be so happy you're no longer on that saddle, and you're probably thinking to it, I don't even know when the next time I'm going to ride that bike is. You're just so happy to get off of it, and you see your family and you see your friends, and you're getting high fives. And I would say for 9 out of 10 people, when they get off the bike, they're so pumped up because they're off the bike, thank God, and then 2, 9 out of 10 people know, whether they'll say it or not, 9 out of 10 people know they're about to become an Ironman, because they do the math in their head and they're like, I could walk this thing and still make it. That's not everybody's prerogative, but I'm saying, like, for the first timers or people who were worried about it, like, when they got off the bike, they're like, I did it. No more flat tires, no more mechanicals, no more dropping my chain, no more this. It's like, I could walk this and bubble wrap myself and finish, and I'm good. And so you come out, you're flying out of T2 with these races, and you're jacked up, and your adrenaline's going, your legs are moving faster than you even think they are, because your cadence has changed up from your bike. And all of a sudden you, like, look down, and we all do, like, I'm probably going like 11s. Oh, 7:45, okay. And then, like, that's why, like, you need, your family should be excited, your family should be pumped up. That's their job, and that's what feeds you. But then, like, as you get going, like, you definitely, if you don't have a coach there, or somebody, like, have a friend that can, bring you back down, to reality, and be like, Mike, I see you're seeing 10:17s, I'm seeing 7:17s. Slow your roll. So, and because you want them, like, they're gonna need you when they hit the turnaround, and that's probably going to be the time when it's going to be when your mentality and your personality and your approach totally changes as a spectator, as a coach, or as a friend, or whatever. And it's like, you got this. Only a half marathon left. Even though it sounds like a lot. I'm not going to be that guy, because that's still a long ways.
Yeah,
but,
no kidding. Thank you for not being that guy.
Yeah, exactly.
Somebody said to me, only a 10K left. I was like, dude.
You're like, almost there. You're like, dude, I've got 18 miles left. I am not almost there. It seems like an eternity. So you just gotta be careful how you come out and be patient. And remember that at some point in your race, you are, without 100%, like, without a doubt, you're going to reach your max. You're going to feel like, I have nothing else to give. I have run my race as perfectly as I can possibly say, or do, or execute, or whatever it is. This is all I have left to give. that's when you're going to need a shout out from your kids, or a shout out from your family, or a bystander, or a teammate on the course. Like, you got it. Like, that's when you need that, like, adrenaline dump to pull something out of your rear end that you never thought you could do, or revert back into what I think a lot of athletes do or should do, is like revert back to that, like, that gratitude space. Like, man, I'm almost there. I've done so much. I can do this, and smile your way through the pain and get there. But you don't want to get there at mile 3 because it will make the next 23 miles of you're almost there. It might take a while.
Yeah. I've got a new go-to. Whenever I see some people coming out of transition, I always yell, slow down. Like, no, they could be walking. I could be like, slow down. Because I know you're going faster than you want to go right now. But no, really, it's sort of just like I don't even know. Sometimes you just see it, and you have no idea really what their pace is, but you can just see it, like you're saying, in their eyes. They get off that bike, and it's just like, oh my goodness, I'm floating right now. Floating out of this transition. Running up at Chattanooga, I'm going to bust up this hill right out of transition and just start nailing this thing to the wall. Back it down, bro.
Yeah, I mean, like, think of any other race or sport where you come out and you're at a race and you're like, hey, slow down, man. slow down.
Yeah.
But it's not. It's so hard. Like, I was having this conversation with an athlete that I'm working with that's doing an ultra and marathon, and I said, listen, man, ultras are very, very, very much like a full distance Ironman and the bike and the run, where it's not about how fast you go, it's about how little you slow down.
Mm-hmm.
It is always about that. It is about how little you slow down, and what impacts how little you slow down is where you start. So remember that and let them go. Like, I remember I did and I was going through this with him, and I said, I did like a 50K running race on the sand in Destin. This is like 7 years ago. It was the stupidest thing I've ever done in my entire life. It was all on the sand. So like 31 miles in the sand, out and back. Like, I love the ocean, but who wants to stare at the ocean and sand for that long? And so I was totally undertrained, as I did a lot of things back then, and signed up like 2 weeks out with a buddy. And at mile 2, I think, I was in last place. I mean, I was getting, like, people just like flew out. And so it was in Destin, so it was really close to, I think it's an Air Force base or Army base or something there in Pensacola. So there was a bunch of like military guys who were out there just like, I can do this with no training. I'm going to crush this because I can, do boot camp. And they took off like a bat out of hell. And I remember I started so slow because I didn't have any idea what to expect or how my body was going to respond. I had no goals. I had no pacing. It was just like, I'm going to start out with the goal of like a 1 or a 2 max on a scale of 1 to 10. And so whatever pace that gives me in the sand, I'm just going to see how long I can hold it. And I think it was I ended up getting 4th overall because the back half, people were just walking the whole way. And when they're walking 15, 16 minute miles, my 11 and a half, 12 mile jog now seems like I'm a speed of lightning.
Speed of lightning.
Well, you think of it, you're going by somebody who's walking and you're doing like a 12:30 pace and they're walking a 16:30. That's 4.5 minutes, whatever, and change per mile you're gaining on them. Mm-hmm. And then you're going off in the distance. While it might be slow, it's not how you picture somebody slow. It's when they're still running and you're not able to that matters most. Mm. And that's how you should think about, from the very first stroke of your swim, you should be thinking, how is this going to affect my ability to be able to run as long as I possibly can on the marathon? Because that is all it's about. And I'll reiterate this again. We've said it before, I think a long time ago, and then I was talking to it with a buddy on who I ran into in Chattanooga, and I said, there is no such thing as a great bike split followed by a bad run split. It just means you overbiked, and you biked the way that you shouldn't have. So when you see athletes who are going past you and flying by you on the bike, let them go, let them work their plan, and I promise you, at some point in the course of the day, you'll be able to, mosey up beside them, whether it's mile 3 or mile 10 or mile 20, and you can ask them about their bike split as you run along into the waddle along into the distance, like at your 12:30 pace while they're walking 16s. Because even the last 6 miles, if that's the difference, you're going to gain 25 minutes on them. So remember that.
Yeah, I've been there where I've been out there a little bit late, and again, I don't really endorse walking on the run, but there's been a couple times when I've been relegated to it, and it's cost me. But when you are walking out there late and people are jogging by you at 11-minute pace, man, it's just like, man, she was flying right there.
Exactly, I'm telling you.
I wish, how can I have that energy right now? She just dusted me, man.
It's a weird thing. I'm telling you, like, as much as people obsess about the bike and it's got all the fun equipment to buy and it's got all the weird helmets to buy and the wheels and everything, and people are like, oh, check out, he's crushing the bike. Like, I can tell you this with certainty because I've been on both sides of it.
Yeah.
Flying by somebody on the bike course isn't nearly half as fun as passing somebody on the run course while they're walking. And the feeling you get on both is totally opposite as well. The person getting passed on the bike is like, oh, big deal, see you later. But like the person doing the passing on the run, like you just said, I mean, it's like and no matter what your goal is, if you're passing and passing and passing, that just gives you fuel to your fire. Like, to keep you going, like, I'm passing these people, I can keep doing this. Like I'm doing it. It's not like you're technically beating these people, even though more than likely you are. It's I did it. I'm doing it right. Like, see, and it like concretes your, what you already should know is your plan, and it worked, and I'm working it, and I'm going to do it. Versus, crap, I didn't do it right. Now I've got to, get my way through the end. And whatever it looks like, whatever your pacing strategy looks like, whatever it is, like, just remember that there's no such thing as almost there in the marathon until you hit mile 25. Yeah. And then you are legitimately almost there. Because especially, in Louisville, I remember even thinking about it when I did like Chattanooga 70.3, and I was giving it everything I had coming down that last hill, and I'm thinking that finish line's probably like 500 meters. I got this, and you get down the bottom of the hill, and you're like, whoa, why is this finish line like another half mile up the road? It seems like forever because you're in so much pain that you just gotta make it. But as anyone will tell you that's ever done any big event, Olympics, 70.3 full, whatever, I promise you, all of your pain, every ounce of it, all of it goes away the minute your foot hits that red carpet. There is something weirdly special about that thing, that whether it's it's
a cushion, man.
It's just like it is. Yeah, it's exactly. It's like it's the cushioning. It's 4 millimeter thick. It's great. There's just something about it. It's your foot hits that. It's one of the best feelings in the world. Your foot hits that red carpet, and you finally feel like. That's when you finally feel like I'm here, and all the pain goes away, and you start looking for your family and your friends and all these random strangers that you're never going to see again for the rest of your life probably are screaming for you, for a stranger, because they've either seen their athlete already come through, so they know all the emotions and the thoughts and feelings that go behind it, or they're waiting for them to go by and they're just as excited for you as they're going to be for this total stranger they're never going to see again. and they're screaming, and especially in like Louisville and Madison, which again I think are like the best two finish lines in North America, they'll just be screaming. And if you're doing 4th Street Live, like it's going to be an absolute zoo, and it's the best feeling in the world, easily.
Yeah, it is, man. I've been spending a lot of time at finish lines lately, and it's helping me remember how exciting that feeling is when you come down. I mean, like the thing now is, well, I don't know how long, it's probably always been a thing, but like at Madison and even Chattanooga, but certainly at Louisville too, like they have those like cardboard sign or foam core boards or whatever on the side of the finish line, and people now lean over and just start hammering those like Roca sunglass signs or whatever, and they start getting these rhythms going, and they're beating on these things, and I've been involved in that lately, and boy, I tell you, man, as a spectator, I think you're right. It's like they've either watched their friend or loved one kind of go through that day, and they can really identify with what you're going through, and or the look in your eye coming down there, and the relief and the sense of accomplishment really kind of touches, and it's just sort of this two-way energy that really brings out that finish line, and it's hard to explain until you've been there on either side. But once you get in there, and it's like, it's sort of like kind of corny, but it's like you feel like that's the love in the world, or that's the humanity in the world, coming out in just full force, where people are just, all together. It really is a union of like, I'm with you no matter who you are, Yeah,
and you don't know what they've gone through, but you can just feel it. Mm-hmm. Like you don't know like the exact like that same, like, we were both at the finish line in Chattanooga, and I think I was with Allie and Hayden and like maybe Chris, Matt. We were a couple people, and we're about, I don't know, 300 meters away from the finish line before even the red carpet, and we're watching there, and this lady's coming down, and she like slows down a little bit more, and she sees like the finish line and the lights, and she puts her hands over her mouth, like, and you could just see like her whole body like came over with emotion, and that is why it's so great. Mm-hmm. Like people like wonder why you train for these things, and why you want these things, and why you want to get up so early, and why do you want to work so hard, and why do you want to go run in the heat, and why do you want to try and eat better, and why do you want to put yourself through this. It's because they've never experienced what that feeling is, because you can't explain it to them. You can try, but you can't. Mm-hmm. And that's why they keep coming back, because there are very few things in life where you have the ability to work so hard your own and reap your own benefit and feel that feeling that you've maybe never had before in your entire life. If I can do anything, I just did it. Look at what I've done. Like, and you prove to yourself, and you see. That's why the finish line is the best, to watch these people like constantly stream through. And while you can't, like, which would be really cool if they did like the old like VH1 pop-up videos. Oh yeah. Like you could like every person that like hit the red carpet, like bubble pop up and like, Mike Tarrolly, originally from Beloit, Wisconsin, this, and this, finishing Ironman number whatever. This is a story, and you're just like, but you can't, but you can just see it and like imagine to yourself, golly, what. That's why people get so pumped, because they've either had that feeling or they love seeing people have this feeling that for a lot of people in life now is just it's incredibly elusive.
Yeah, and really you see yourself in that person too, and I think that's the magic of it, is that you can see that look in their eye, and whether it's like you said, that lady that put her hands up, and those are always my favorite moments, when that like just wave of emotion comes over somebody. They're just running down the carpet, and all of a sudden you just see them almost seize up, like, oh my God, this is like what I've been training for. It all comes to a head right there, and you can't tell, like you're saying, you don't know what they've been through, but you can feel it in them, and you can feel it in yourself, and that, and we can, I think we should probably get into this the next time, because I've been feeling it too. It's sort of this, like, at the end of Ironman training, that kind of, and it's the analogy is the race. It's like you're running out there and you're all alone, in a way. There's a ton of people around you racing. You're all in your own world, and it's sort of this loneliness. It's like you're running out, that second loop, you're running out to the middle of nowhere by yourself and you're all alone, and then you come around that corner and you see thousands of people just ready to, give you a big hug and cheer for you, and it's like coming home. You know what I mean? It's sort of like this loneliness feeling has just been like a test, and all of a sudden, in our case, we'll have, dozens of people from the Crushing Iron C26 athletes will be around, family, friends, and everybody's just sort of waiting at home for you. And then you come home and it's like, man, it's all good. It's all good again. It is the best. And it's like it's emotional for coaches too. I think for a lot of coaches, it's like, I get emotional every time you're at a finish line. You see athletes, because like you've been helping, like you've read 25 books basically, and I've got like this last page to turn, but I have to wait until Sunday, and then you get to turn the page and read the ending and be, a small part of the ending, and you get to see him, and you've as a coach, you get a little bit better view because you're more objective and you see the whole picture than the athlete. But then when they finish, it's like you don't really remember. I think for a lot of athletes, I think they don't remember everything until it's like a mental block. They don't remember everything they've gone through until they actually cross the finish line, and that's when the emotions hit. And it is why coaching is such an incredibly rewarding and awesome thing to be involved in. Is just it's a great place to be, whether you're in front of the finish line or behind it. It's gotten me amped up. I think I might text Allie and see if she wants to take a couple extra days off work. We'll just head up today. Trust me, man. I'm thinking about it.
Yeah, it's going to be a good one. So if you're there, you're in Louisville, please come out and say hi. Mike will be there in a racing capacity, so please limit your selfies. And I'll be there. Allie and Hayden, even my mom's coming up. She loves Louisville too, and loves spectating. And I think she'll love spectating even more when I'm not racing, because she doesn't have to worry. So we'll be there. We'll get in Friday morning. Please say hi if you see us around. I'll have a C26 hat on and more than likely some C26 gear. I'll be the guy with the beard. Come say hi. Come see us. Have a good time. If you're racing in Kona, good luck to you as well. Have fun. I'll probably do a little race prediction on Thursday's podcast, just for fun. But just go out and have fun. Enjoy your week. Remember all the things you've done. Take a trip back down, training in life memory lane, and just be really, really happy that you are what you are. And we'll catch you on Thursday probably.
Yeah. And now, while a lot of us are kind of coming to the end of this season, that doesn't mean, we're going to keep going with this podcast. I mean, we are going to carry it through. We haven't missed Monday or Thursday in what seems like forever. And we're going to keep going. If you like the podcast, if you like the message we're sending, and if you want the continued inspiration or at least discussion over the off season, which we will give, you can always go and support us with a little donation at patreon.com/crushingiron. We have a couple different tiers up there. I think more and more of you have been just throwing us a few bucks every month, and we have a $3.26 donation per month, which really helps us. These little things will certainly keep us going strong and be motivated all off season, because we're coming to the head for a lot of us. I know a lot of people around the world are hitting a different part of the season, but for the most part, our core group is here in the United States. But we'll keep an eye on everything over the off season and keep it going. And of course, we have one more pre-Louisville race that we'll hit on Thursday. But we also have a little store. If you like the Crushing Iron logo and brand and want to rock it, you can go there and buy a classic C26 t-shirt. We have coaching information going into the off season. You've got your Q4 and Q1 plans, training plans out there. Is that correct, Coach?
That's correct.
So this is life, man. It doesn't stop. You know, just because our big races are hitting. You know, it's like I keep trying to figure out how triathlon weaves into my life in the most effective and efficient and you know, best way to keep me happy, healthy, and on the right path. So just because a race happens doesn't mean that it's over. You know, it's just another step in the journey. So
That's right.
keep plugged into Crushing Iron.
And we'll try to stay plugged into you.
Yep, for sure. All right. Well, thanks for joining us on the Crushing Iron podcast. We will be back with you on Thursday, which will be, 4 days from Louisville, Ironman Louisville?
Ish, yeah.
3 or 4 days, however they count that.
Yep.
Weather looks like we can almost kind of start believing the weather a little bit. Looks like it's going to be a fairly reasonable temperature.
Mm-hmm.
So, with that in mind, we will sign off and be catching up with you on Thursday.
All right, man. See you then.
See you, buddy.